brings me great pleasure to officially inaugurate the National Council on Privatization.
The mandate is one of commercialization, privatization, optimizing government investment.
Once there's a transaction, there is this interest that makes them feel we should do it. BPE will help to synergize through stakeholding with all the agencies and make sure there's a common drive. That is what will beef up the national economy. That's what will bring in foreign direct investment. That's what makes Nigeria a better place and a sea heaven for investment. Most of the assets that were moribund, they are assets that you need to give to private hands. But the assets that are long-lasting, like the ports, like the Gencos, that has to be hydro, that are long-lasting, those you can bring commercial, through concession. BPE, I'll tell you, is absolutely dynamic. We operate based on, we use the environmental issues. We are human beings. We must be sensitive to those you are relating with and those you want to bring into the system. So in the new BPE structure, the PPP option is becoming more relevant.
Welcome to OTNA, your window to information on optimization. OTNA, your window to information on optimization.
Welcome and thank you for joining us once again on this edition of OTNA. On OTNA, we talk about the process of privatization and commercialization as midwifed by the Bureau of Public Enterprises. Today, we're talking and looking at something very, very important. In ensuring that transactions are done, it's not always just about finance or about the investor and the things involved, but it's also important to ensure that the books are kept, and that properly. This is where the auditors come to play. They check to ensure that the books are properly kept and everything is in its right place. In our previous edition, in season 1 of OTNA, some of our guests who have been Directors General emphasized that the Bureau of Public Enterprises is very intentional about the quality of staff because of ensuring that they have excellence in service delivery. Today, we visit the internal audit section of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, an optimizer, as we usually call them. Meet my guest today. She is Hajia Saratu Hassan Gafai, the head internal audit at the Bureau of Public Enterprises, a woman who is very passionate about her job. And from all we've seen, even if her husband, her daughter, or her brother has something to do with the BPE, you must keep to the books and do it right. My guest, Hajia Saratu Hassan Gafai. Thank you very much for joining us. We're glad to have you on OTNA today.
Thank you so much.
Let's begin by having an overview of your role as Head Internal Audit within the Nigerian Reforms Privatization and Commercialization Program. But in this case, we're looking at what you're doing at the Bureau of Public Enterprises in terms of providing leadership as Internal Auditor.
Thank you so much. I'll start by giving a brief on internal audits. Internal audit is about following due process in all the activities we do, in financial transactions, in procurements of goods and services, and also in the core mandates of the Bureau. In other words, it is ensuring compliance with financial regulations, public service rules, federal government circulars, the Bureau's staff manual, the transaction procedures manual, and the standard operation procedures, and the policies of the Bureau efficiently and effectively implemented without any breach in the internal control system of management.
In talking about internal audit, we need to understand your role as Head of Internal Audit. What's your role here in the BPE as Head of Internal Audit?
The role of the Head Internal Audit is very important in every organization in helping the organization to achieve its stated objectives and evaluating its internal control and drawing up its annual audit plan.
What makes internal audits in the BPE unique and different from other organizations?
Well, what makes it different? Between BPE and other organizations is that BPE is the only privatization organization that you find in Nigeria. And being here is a school, you learn so many things. In fact, we learn on the job, though we go for capacity building.
All right, that brings me to engagement strategies, because as you do capacity building, you would want to engage, build relationships with stakeholders throughout the auditing process at different stages. What do you do? How do you get this done? The strategies you employ in engaging and building relationships?
In whatever you do, transparency is key. You must be transparent, and I underline it. You must be transparent in all your doings. Of course, if you're not transparent, you may compromise your position as an internal auditor. So there is no two and two about it. You just have to be on top of the job and you have to be transparent. Our approach is constant stakeholder engagement and relationship building in all audit assignments. We also provide clarifications when people need it. We also communicate regularly and consistently, and we seek understanding of their needs and concerns. We also engage in dialogue to resolve issues.
Sounds good. Now, when you do all this, certainly there will be some feedback. So what feedback mechanism? How does your units collect feedback from stakeholders, and what do you do to ensure that the concerns and suggestions of stakeholders are considered in your audit's decision-making process?
Well, in BPE, we are professionals, you know that. I'm sure you trust us to be professionals. We collect feedbacks on queries from stakeholders by operating an open door policy. I'm sure the time you came, you met my door open. Whenever you have your issues, my door is always open for you to come and we give you clarifications. We also prepare reports to management and we forward to management. And we present those reports to management and give them recommendations. And mostly management considers and implements our recommendations.
Now, consensus is another thing that's very important. Where there are divergent interests, stakeholders sees it from this angle, and maybe as an auditor, you are looking at it from another angle. What do you do to build consensus?
Well, we build consensus in line with public service rules. Whatever the public service rules say, that is what we adopt. We also have open dialogue with stakeholders, and then we invite stakeholders for meetings also to resolve issues. Where necessary, the internal audit makes recommendations to management for further review.
Certainly, as you build consensus and ensure that you close up things and get things done properly, management guides you in ensuring that this is done. And you yourself are a member of management. So I guess that's where teamwork comes to play. And I'd like you to take us into what happens at management, at least what Nigerians can get to know. How is this consensus built? How is the togetherness built between unit heads, directors? What makes it special here at the BPE?
At the BPE, we have a cordial relationship with the management, even though I'm part of the management, but I'm seen as an internal auditor. But we really have a teamwork. We work together, we understand each other, we prefer solutions, and we get going.
All right, now government agencies, different government agencies come into some level of collaboration with you, especially as you're talking about privatization and commercialization. And sometimes I'm sure that some government agencies also see you the way some other organizations see you, as you're coming to take their jobs. So tell us about your collaboration with government agencies.
Well, we collaborate with different government agencies. There are so many government agencies that we collaborate with, but I think the most ones that are prominent are the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation and then Office of the Accountant General for the Federation. Mostly they come for periodic checks, like the Auditor General. They usually come for a periodic check, where they check our books for a period of maybe 1-2 years. And whenever they are coming, they always write us a letter. They send us checklists for all their requirements. And we produce all that. When they come, we give them an office. They sit down there with all the documents we have given to them. And if there are any clarifications as in the course of their assignment, we give them those clarifications in terms of maybe documents or maybe in terms of explanations.
Now, within your job as head of internal audit, like it happens every other place, there are lessons you learn. You mentioned earlier that BP is like a school, and whatever professional area you are in, you learn as you go on with experiences that come. Fill us into some of these learning experiences, lessons learned.
Well, in internal audit, honestly, you're not a friend to people. But we try to strike a balance in ensuring that everything goes right. You know, in doing your job professionally, no, it's all about doing your job professionally. Since there are rules and regulations guiding you, the internal audit is nobody's friend. It looks like you're witch hunting people. Even your friends, you can quarrel with them if you are in internal audit.
I want to know how this is taken care of, especially between you and you mentioned sometimes your friends and maybe people that you know. Is there a line between professionalism and relationship?
Oh, definitely. There's a line between professionalism and friendship. You cannot compromise your profession because of your friend.
All right. Well, that's one of the things that makes what we do here at OTNA very special, ensuring that we dissect what happens within the privatization and commercialization process. We'll take a short break. And in this break, you get to find out again, to see some success stories and hear directly from some of these people who have experienced it. Chairmen of some of the organizations that have been privatized or concessioned, and what they have to say. Take a look.
OTNA.
Rather than continue to talk about what is possible, let's start to do what is possible. So what did we do? We went to the regulator with strong collaboration with them. We said, let's have a cluster to demonstrate what is possible by ensuring that the infrastructure required is given to this particular cluster, and that the tariff that is needed in terms of cost of service is equally allowed so that the citizens can pay the right tariff. Of course, this worked with Magodo and Ikeja GRA. So what did we do there? We said, okay, they need more transformers. We gave them the lines. We did all sorts. We metered, and today they're enjoying 22 hours of supply. When there is no system collapse, they have electricity on a steady basis. So the number of hours changed. And today we have about 20 locations like that we're serving as we speak. So we're not just talking, we're demonstrating what is possible.
BPE has been a very good partner to the discos. You know, they have a seat on our board, and we've worked with them in a very consensual manner whereby most decisions are taken as a team. They have a veto power, but they've not had to use that veto power throughout, because in a co-disco, we run a very transparent board, we follow proper governance, we do our accounts after when due, and all what needs to be done on the corporate entity, we have done that. This is why I always say that today, we are referenced as the best disco in Nigeria, and BPE has helped us in achieving that. It's been a very good partnership to show that government and private sector can work together, and we feel that when we needed support, they've been there to support us in achieving most of those aims.
I would say the process was a very, very good one. It was open, it was transparent, it was very, very professional. I still recall then during all the bid process, from the technical part to the financial part, government showed that they were ready to really do business. And I think that was part of the things that informed APM Terminals, that this public-private partnership that is being put together by the government, which BPE was spearheading, it showed us that government was really serious for there to be the desired change in the port industry.
I would say the concession of the port in 2006 was very transparent. I would say as a much younger manager then, it was one of the proud moments for me as a Nigerian. We saw the transparency, the processes, and the different stages that the privatization exercise went through before the preferred bidders were eventually selected. BPE was extremely transparent. The leadership of the organization at the time made us proud as a people.
OTNA, optimizing the nation's assets.
Welcome back. This is OTNA, optimizing the nation's assets. On OTNA, we take a look at the process of optimization and privatization. There you had it. You got to see and hear from people who have experienced the work at the BPE and what they all have to say. Clearly, the work at the BPE is intentional. It's deliberate. And that's why the staff at the BPE are also intentionally raised and trained and deliberately worked on to ensure that they deliver in their service delivery. I will go back to my guest today, Hajia Saratu Hassan Gafai. Hajia, once again, thank you very much for being with us. You've told us quite a lot about internal audit and how the job is done. One of the interesting aspects that you've told us I find interesting, is the line between professionalism and relationship. Generally in Africa, you tend to think that, oh, you see a black man, you want to say, oh, black man to black man, he's my brother, he's my sister, we are the same religion, we're the same place. But here at the BPE, it seems that professionalism is the watchword. My question here is, what really makes the BPE different from other organizations at the level of professionalism and excellence?
Well, in the BPE, just like I mentioned in the past, we don't compromise at all. We don't compromise. Your friendship is different and your profession is different. If you want to be a reputable organization, definitely you have to separate, draw a line between your profession and friendship. Just because your friends are your friends, you cannot compromise. You have to do the work to the best of your integrity. It is your name you are keeping, and it is also your organization's name you are keeping.
Thank you, Ma. So let's talk about your conviction about privatization and commercialization. A lot of people think it's just about sale of assets, and that, in fact, some people will tell you, no, we shouldn't go there at all. But we know that what has made some countries great is ensuring that these things are done. Assets are optimized. Tell us your conviction and what you want Nigerians to know.
My conviction about privatization is that you cannot condemn privatization at all. We have done the telecommunications. We have done the telecommunications sector, and everybody has seen it, has seen what is good in it. We have people are employed. We have creation of new organizations. Privatization really offers job opportunities, better services. It reduces the burden on government.
That brings me to success stories. Can you provide examples of successful internal audit engagement initiatives you've had, and how this success has contributed to the overall success of what you do here at the BPE?
Yeah, I'll just mention a few success stories. We have success stories in the procurement process. We have also the issue of errors. Errors have been reduced to the barest minimum. We also have due process. Due process has been followed because it has reduced queries to some extent. And then the PPE gets value too for its money.
Finally, before we go, Ma, Nigerians are in a hurry to see the success of privatization. You know, some people will tell you, oh, we hear that they are privatizing power in different levels, but we're not seeing the results yet. What's your admonition to Nigerians who especially feel that time is going and we need to see this result?
Well, in anything you do, you have to be patient. There's nothing that starts and ends perfectly. Along the line, you can make mistakes. Along the line, you experience all kinds of issues. But I want Nigerians to be patient. Things will get better by God's grace.
Things will get better by God's grace. It's on that note, I want to say thank you to you, Hajia, for joining us on the program. We appreciate you. And on that note, thank you for being part of OTNA today, optimizing the nation's assets. Clearly, we can see that the nation's assets require optimization. And it's not just about who does it and how it's done, but it's teamwork. As Hajia Saratu Hassan Gafai has made us to understand, teamwork is important. At the BPE, they pull everyone together, ensuring that we have professionals in every area, giving us what we require at the end of the day. Thank you very much for being part of this edition. Don't forget to join us next week for yet another edition of OTNA, optimizing the nation's assets. And next week, we'll bring you yet another optimizer. Until then, it's bye for now.
OTNA, optimizing the nation's assets.
There are three people I think that you should be close to. I mean, obviously your lawyer, your priest, and your accountant. So when you say privatization, a lot of people think of, you know, in the public sector, maybe loss of control of an asset, loss of jobs. Yeah. I mean, that's a critical thing.
OTNA, optimization on the go.